Everyone knows, it's
أيوة من امبارح كلمنا.
إن شاء الله.
حتى في ناس سألوا قبل شوية، قلنا لهم معي كده in 15 minutes. وهيجي إن شاء الله.
Good. I'm gonna share with you Khalid the screen. Lubaba, you need also screen, right? Sharing.
Yes, please.
Okay, just a second.
I think Ali joined and Marwa. Ali and Marwa, yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmah.
How are you doing, Dr. Nadir? How are you off?
كلنا بخير الحمد لله. Everyone is good.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة علي.
كيف تمام؟
الحمد لله. I think we can start if you are ready, Lubaba and Khalid. Assalamu alaikum everyone. So we'll talk today about the vaccine for COVID, and Khalid, when you are ready.
So can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, it's going to be a brief presentation on updates on COVID-19 vaccine. I'm going to give an overview of vaccine development, different stages of the clinical development of vaccines, and also talk about the Pfizer's BioNTech vaccine, while Lubaba will talk about Moderna's vaccine. We chose these two because these are quite new technologies on developing vaccines, which is using mRNA. And there are many other vaccines that we can shine some light on, but we will mainly talk about these two. First, an overview of vaccine development. The general stage of the development cycle of vaccines are exploratory stage. This is where scientists try to understand how an organism causes a disease, and using that information come up with an idea that can be implemented in the lab to develop a vaccine. If this idea proves to be successful in lab settings, then it can move on to preclinical stage, which is basically testing in animals. The next step would be clinical development. Clinical development, as we know, this is the 4 phases clinical trials that vaccines and also novel treatments go through. There are also regulatory review and approval, then manufacturing and quality control. The clinical development of vaccine has 4 phases. The first phase is when small groups of people receive the trial vaccine. In this first phase, we want to know the maximum dose that is safe. We want to know that the treatment or vaccine we administer does not lead to potentially side effects or high risk adverse effects. And this is, as I've said, done in a small group of people. If it proved to be safe and somehow effective, then we can move to phase 2, in which a larger group of people with different characteristics receive the vaccine. Phase 3, this is where the vaccine is given to thousands of people and tested for efficacy and safety. After completion of phase 3, a vaccine or a new drug can receive FDA approval and can move on to phase 4. Phase 4 can last many years. to monitor the long-term safety of the drug. As you can see in this graph, phase 1 is concerned with safety. This is a rough estimate, but around 20 to 80 participants. Phase 2, safety and dosing, and also the route of administration, whether it's going to be intramuscular, subcutaneous, or any other route. And then it moves to phase 3, safety and efficacy. Then it can receive the FDA approval and move on to phase 4. This is very important to know, which is vaccine adverse event reporting system. This is National Vaccine Safety Surveillance Program, co-sponsored by the Food and Drug Administration and the CDC. It collects and analyzes information from reports of adverse events, side effects that occur after the administration of US licensed vaccines. I think it's going to be important for both healthcare providers and patients that will receive the new vaccines to know about this website, as they can report any case they may see. I've also provided a link here for the website. Well, the current state of COVID-19 vaccines. There are many pharmaceutical companies working on developing COVID-19 vaccines in unprecedented speed. As early as March of this year, many moved on to phase 2 clinical trials. Most are in preclinical stage now, but 48 of them are being tested on humans, which has moved to clinical trials. A handful of those 48 have reached late-stage clinical trials. The most promising vaccines both use the same new technology, which is mRNA. We are going to cover these two, which is Pfizer's BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. There are also other vaccines that showed promising results. Oxford is one of them, of course, but the Oxford vaccine is different than those in that it's a live attenuated vaccine. It does not use this new technology. Well, most experts think that these two will prove to be the most effective. Pfizer's BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Pfizer's and German biotechnology company BioNTech have developed a vaccine that uses messenger RNA to prompt the immune system to recognize the coronavirus. Their data have not been published yet, but I've got this information from their websites and also added some points from expert views. A final analysis of their phase 3 data suggested that their vaccine is 95% effective at preventing COVID-19. This data was driven from around 40,000 participants up to now. Of course, participants are increasing by the day, but up to 2 days ago, it was 40,000 participants. The first doses of this vaccine will likely be given in December. Of course, this is a claim made by the company in their website. Some question that this would be difficult, but it's also possible, as they've already applied for emergency authorization from the FDA, and they can gain this authorization in the upcoming days, and we may see this vaccine rolling out in the next months. Pfizer and BioNTech plan to produce up to 50 million doses of its vaccine globally in 2020, and up to 1.3 doses of its vaccine by the end of 2021. The phase 3 trial that began in late July will continue for another 2 years. As I've mentioned, this can go on for many years, and safety and efficacy data will continue to be collected, of course. Pfizer's vaccine has an added difficulty. This is also true with Moderna's vaccine, which is it must be stored in ultra cold temperatures of minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 70 degrees Celsius. Moderna's needs to be stored at minus 4 or minus 20, but they're not sure yet of the transportation, of how it's going to prove to be difficult in the transportation process when they get to disseminate millions of doses. This is true of mRNA-based vaccines and also treatments that have been developed before. The main problem was that RNA is not stable enough, like DNA. It gets degraded when it gets exposed to heat. So this might be a difficulty that they will face. The Pfizer vaccine didn't cause any serious adverse events and led to an immune response. According to phase 1, phase 2 data published in the journal Nature in August, this, of course, this data was published. This was from phase 1 and 2, which is included only a few number of patients. Their phase 3 data, which included up to no more than 40,000 patients, have not been released yet, have not been published yet. Well, in their phase 2 trial, the study involved 45 patients who were given one of 3 doses of either the candidate vaccine or a placebo. None of the patients had serious side effects, but some developed side effects such as fever, 75% in the highest dose group, fatigue, headache, chills, muscle pain, and joint pain. They're all mild symptoms. So as of up to now, no serious side effect has been witnessed, has been deemed to be caused by the vaccine. So we can presume that it's safe. The researchers found that the vaccine prompted the immune system to make neutralizing antibodies at levels 1.8 to 2.8 times higher than those found in recovered patients. This means that the effectiveness of the vaccine would be high, which is also goes along with their 95% figure, and also means that it could potentially generate a long-lasting immunity. It have not been proven yet, but this number is very high compared to other vaccines that has been studied in the past. So it's a very promising number. This vaccine also prompted the body to produce T cells and other molecules to help fight the virus, according to the results that were published in September. Well, as of October, 1 month ago, Pfizer and BioNTech received FDA approval to start enrolling children 12 years old and older in its trials. When they get to administer the vaccine to different patients with different demographics, different age groups, and different comorbidities, this can also mean that the vaccine would be effective in different groups of people. But the information released at this early stage does not answer key questions that will determine whether the Pfizer vaccine and others like it can prevent the most severe cases or put an end to the coronavirus pandemic. Although the vaccine might not turn out to be quite so effective, the final result might be less than 95%, which is the result now. If it's above 50%, it can get an FDA approval, and would also be very helpful in fighting or stopping the current pandemic. These are the data that have been released by the Pfizer and BioNTech's company, but many questions remain, very important questions. The first one is the nature of infection prevention, mild, moderate versus severe disease, which is we do not exactly know that the COVID-19 vaccine will prevent severe disease versus mild and moderate. The 95% figure they mentioned might be only in prevention of mild and moderate disease. So it's difficult to know this by now. We don't know if it's transmission blocking. So we do know that it prevents the disease, but we do not know if the person who received the vaccine might transmit it or not. How well the vaccine works in different groups of trial participants. We don't know yet if it works in the population that needs it most, which is the geriatric population. They have included patients over 65, but experts say that the numbers are not enough to conclude that it provides protection for these different age groups. The last important question is whether it provides lasting immunity. there have been vaccines developed in the past that showed great effectiveness in phase 3 trials, but they did not get the FDA approval because it provides immunity for a short duration of time, 3 months or 6 months. The FDA generally requires a vaccine to provide protection for 1 to 2 years to be approved. So as the trials are still ongoing, we don't know yet if it will provide a lasting immunity or not. There are two great challenges that the Pfizer's company face. The pharmaceutical giant faces a huge challenge in distributing its vaccine, which has to be kept, as I've mentioned before, in an ultra frosty -70°C, requiring special storage freezers and shipping containers. Another important aspect that some experts raised is immune enhancement. Immune enhancement is a severe illness brought on by virus interaction with immune particles in some vaccinated persons. What immune enhancement essentially is when you get reinfected several times or a couple of times from the same pathogen or a similar pathogen that is genetically driven from the first one, you might get a severe illness that could be fatal. We've seen this with dengue fever before in areas where the disease is endemic. When people get the first infection, they may have a very mild illness, as we can see with COVID-19. Some people get the infection and develop a very mild illness, but we don't know yet if a reinfection would be more severe. So when we administer a vaccine to people in general, and they get reinfected, or the vaccine itself represents a reinfection, which is if they got the COVID before, they may develop immune enhancement. We haven't witnessed this yet with COVID-19, but some people say that it's a challenge that we may have to face. That is all regarding the Pfizer's vaccine. In the upcoming days, we will see the FDA's response to their on 10th of December, around 10 days from now. They will review the data, and they may issue an emergency use, or they might not. So we will know in the upcoming days. Now Baba is going to talk about Moderna's vaccine. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Khalid. And we're gonna keep questions after Lubaba's presentation, inshallah.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Khalid, for the introduction and Pfizer vaccine. I'm going to talk about Moderna. So, continuation of the same topic, updates on COVID-19 vaccines. As Khalid mentioned, there is multiple vaccines under the development now, and as of November 24th, there is large scale phase 3 clinical trials are in progress and being planned for COVID-19 vaccines in the United States. So we have AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, Janssen's, Moderna, and Novavax and Pfizer. So our concentration today would be Moderna and Pfizer because those are the two with most recent results and updates and more in the news. Moderna has actually two studies in this regard, but there is one at phase 3 study, which is the study that evaluate efficacy and safety of immunogenicity of the messenger RNA 1273 vaccine in adults 18 years old to prevent COVID-19. So messenger RNA 1273 is a vaccine being developed to prevent COVID-19. As Khalid discussed that it's a new technology that trigger the immune system to develop antibodies for COVID-19 or coronavirus vaccine 2, virus 2. The study is designed to primarily evaluate the efficacy and safety of and immunogenicity of the vaccine to prevent COVID-19 for up to 2 years after the second dose. It's a randomized, observer-blind, placebo-controlled study with 30,000 participants at 100 research sites. Estimated study conclusion date is October 2022. The vaccine is 2 doses of intramuscular vaccine given a month apart. The total length of the participation is up to 25 months. Include approximately 6 visits to the study sites and 25 phone calls. Participants will get the first dose and will get about 3 calls afterwards, just following on the symptoms, if development of any adverse effect of the vaccine. That's going to be conducted or done by the team managing the study. There is interim trial, results for the trial released on the 17th that the US biotech company Moderna released the interim analysis of its phase 3 trial, which showed that vaccine is 94.5% effective. And this is based on the Data Safety Monitoring Board reporting, which is one of the US National Institute of Health appointee, carried out the analysis based on 95 COVID-19 cases, of which 90 were observed in the placebo group. I apologize for that. So based on the 95 COVID-19 cases, where 90 of them observed in the placebo group, and 5 were reported in the vaccine group. As we mentioned, the trial enrolled around 30,000 US participants, including 7,000 above 65 year age, 5,000 under 65 with high-risk chronic disease. Third of them are non-white, 6,000 participants identified as Hispanic, 3,000 identified as Black, and out of the 95 cases that they found, 15 were in adult over 65, and 20 identified as being from diverse communities, Hispanic, Black, and Asian American, and others. So it's kind of diverse, including most of the races in the US. As meeting the primary endpoint for the trial, which is prevention of the systemic COVID-19 disease, it's also monitoring the secondary endpoint, which is prevention of severe disease. There were 11 severe cases of COVID-19 reported, all of which occurred in the placebo group. Moderna intends to submit the interim safety and efficacy data to the US Food and Administration for emergency use authorization within the next few weeks, following a final analysis of 151 cases and a median follow-up for more than 2 months. The trial is being carried in collaboration with the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. That's all about Moderna. I think that Khalid spoke a lot about the messenger RNA and all of this. So it's just follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lubaba and Khalid again. And the floor is open now for questions or comments, or please feel free. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Khalid and Lubaba, for the great effort. Really great presentation. My question is to Khalid. In the last slide, he mentioned something about immune enhancement. Can you explain more, Khalid?
Yeah, okay. Immune enhancement is hypothesized by some experts that it's going to be a potential problem that we will face with COVID. We haven't witnessed it yet, but it happened before when someone is when someone gets infected with an organism, they may he or she may develop a mild illness, but on reinfection, people may develop serious adverse effects. This has been witnessed before in dengue fever, where people in endemic areas had mild illness, but when some vaccines were trialed, they had adverse reactions, which is severe systematic inflammation. Um, it, uh, it takes some time for immune enhancement to develop. So the data so far shows that both vaccines are safe, but some experts warn that this may happen in the future.
Okay.
That's why I've mentioned it.
Thank you, Khalid. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roa, for the question. Any other questions? Thank you both for excellent presentation. That's great and very brief, good summary and to the point. Thanks. I really appreciate it. All right. Anyone else wants to add anything before we jump to the next section? Marwa, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Honestly, I don't have any question, but I just wanted to thank you, both Lubaba and Khalid, for the very nice and well presented presentation. Thank you so much. It was simple, concise, and to the point, which is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Mulham, go ahead.
Also, thank you, Dr. Nader. I would like to thank Khalid and Lubaba for the great presentation. It was really enjoyable. I'm sorry, Khalid, for being late a bit from the start, but I did enjoy what I have seen there. Very interesting points. You mentioned all the pros and cons about Pfizer vaccine, and Moderna was mentioned in detail by Lubaba. So I really appreciate your efforts. Thank you for explaining us the idea behind what is going on exactly right now. This phase is phase 3. And as Khalid said, there is no data about phase 3 at the moment. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mulham. Anyone else wants to add or comment? Once again, thank you, everyone. Go ahead, Azza.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the presentation, Khalid and Lubaba. That was clear and very nice presentation. I have let's say it's a question, and maybe you mention it. I just want to clear it out or something. If someone is like infected with COVID and recovered, and if he's in the high risk group, will he be like getting the vaccine? Will he be like, will the vaccine be, I know this is like maybe a question out of the presentation, but that just occurred to me, and I just, maybe we can, someone who understand that clarify to me. Is the vaccine, I understand that it's going to be given to the high risk groups, the frontliners and high risk individuals. But if someone is infected with COVID and the reinfection is established, will they be offered a COVID vaccine? Um, if you like might understand my question.
Yes, I think I
Thank you.
understood your question.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
Before the presentation, Dr. Nader mentioned that it's most probably going to be distributed to high-risk patients first. While I was searching the internet for information regarding the Pfizer's vaccines and vaccines for COVID in general, I didn't come across information of distribution. I think it's later to be determined. That's why I didn't come across this information. But as Dr. Nader said, I think it's most probably going to be distributed to high-risk patients first. As with regard to reinfection, I don't know really the answer to that question. I haven't also came across of who will receive the vaccine first. What I found only is that many countries has already ordered millions of vaccines, mostly Europe, Canada, US, Australia, and UK. But who will get the vaccine first? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Dr. Nader can maybe Dr. Nader's view is the most realistic, that high-risk patients will receive it first.
Thank you, Khalid. Lubaba, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Azza, for the question. I agree with Dr. Nader and Khalid too. I've never read it somewhere, but as our weekly updates from where I work, most likely the vaccine will be given for high-risk people, including frontline healthcare workers. This is nothing like from any resources other than the weekly update that we are getting. Your questions regarding people has already or they already have COVID before. From what I learned, Moderna, one of the exclusion criteria in this study is people already had coronavirus, and I think infection. And I think that's because the messenger RNA vaccine is to trigger the antibody in the system. So people, they already infected, most of them, they have the antibody. So they are not included in this study for Moderna, but I'm not sure about Pfizer, and Dr. Nadir can add more. Thank you.
Thank you, Lubaba. I completely agree with your explanation. I think it's, first of all, things are not clear 100%. So things might change in a flip of a second. So the distribution, they will go into stages. They will identify who's the first group to give, because it will take time for the companies to produce or make this available. 50 million for a country like in the US has, let's say, almost 300 million is nothing, especially if you are giving the patient two or the person two injections. So you multiply that number by 2. So they have to stratify or categorize the individual they will give the vaccine. How they gonna do that? It's unclear. Everyone is expecting something. So some groups say, yes, I agree with you, Lubaba, the healthcare first line, the older population, but who will get it first is they are working on that. So so we will see how the line will go as far as distribution. The tricky question that you asked Marwa, about the patient who has the infection, if it's confirmed that the patient has the infection, I think by the mechanism of the vaccine, it's supposed to induce your immune system. And if the virus, the actual virus, is there in the past, then I think if they have a way to find out who had the infection before, I think they will drop these people from the vaccine list, because they want to prevent it from happening to people. If you had it before, your immune system is already active, so they want to engage people who did not have the infection. But again, I don't know the way they categorize people? Is it going to be like they check your history, they check your infection status? I'm not sure. So it's a good question. Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome, Azza. Subi?
Yeah, thank you, Lubaba and Khalid, for very nice and brief discussion. I think at this point of time, this information is very valuable for all of us, regardless we are, I mean, as a, you know, we are not probably the front line. I mean, some of we are frontline workers and whatever working for research, but this is important for us and our family and all over the world. But yeah, this is a very nice presentation. I want to ask like any of you, either Khalid or Lubaba, because I know that you guys both did research a lot about this topic. So do you have any information about the children, like in either Moderna or Pfizer? What's their plan for the children? And other thing is like, how about the redistribution of the vaccine to the developing countries, like, you know, of course, Sudan or like Bangladesh or any other countries? How will they redistribute the vaccine? Because when you guys are presenting, especially Khalid, I saw that it needs like very low temperature is to preserve it. So how will they redistribute it, and how will it be, you know, reach to the other part of the world? If you have any, you know, concern. Thank you.
Regarding your first question, which is children, uh, many children have been included in the Pfizer's study. The numbers are the same, around 95% effective. Um, uh, I don't exactly know if children children are generally considered low risk in COVID, so I'm not sure if they will be the first, one of the first groups to receive the vaccine. Lubaba can also share with us any information she found regarding children and these vaccines. The transportation of Pfizer's vaccine, especially more than Moderna, is, yeah, it's going to be difficult, I think, for the company to transport such mass quantities of the vaccine while it should be transported in -70. They predict that by 2021, the more developed countries like Europe, UK, and US will receive the vaccine first, but I didn't come across third world countries as in relation to when they will receive the vaccine. I think it's going to be almost impossible to disseminate the vaccine in Sudan in -70. I've tried before to transport samples that should be stored in -20. That was very difficult, let alone mass distribution of a vaccine. I think that could take quite some years. So I'm not exactly sure. It's going to be very difficult, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Khalid. I agree with Khalid. Thank you, Sami, for your question. In regards to including children's, I know Moderna is not. It's the study is 18 and above, but I think Pfizer started including 12 years old in their study, but we're not sure. As Khalid said, maybe because children's are low risk for COVID at this point. I don't have any more information regarding that. Distribution is definitely going to be a challenge. It's starting here in the States, going to be challenge the first word. So the third word is by default, it's going to be, as Khalid mentioned, years from now, maybe. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid and Lubaba, and thank you, Sumi, for the question. Any other comments or any other questions?
Hi, I just would like to add something. I just read in the CDC website regarding Azza's question. They said CDC cannot comment on whether people who had COVID-19 should get COVID-19 vaccine or not. So they don't, yeah, like regardless, some people might be at very high risk if they get reinfected, but the information regarding reinfection itself and this are not very, there is no much information about this area or something, but like eventually they haven't reached a conclusion regarding that. So I hope this answered her question.
Thank you so much, Marwa, for
Thank you,
clarification.
Marwa. Thank you for clearing out. I guess the coming days are holding a lot of more information on that, and the guidelines are in the making.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, and maybe in the coming month,
yeah,
they might have specific recommendations,
exactly.
but yeah, not as of yet.
But if I believe that if the COVID recovered patient was a frontliner, I believe he deserves to get the vaccine. That's like my opinion. But thank you very much, Marwa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, both Azam and Marwa. Any other comments or any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, Ali.
Okay. Thank you, Khalid and Lubaba, for this great effort. Actually, I have a question for Lubaba. As Khalid said, one of the greatest problem is that how long will the immunity last? So, as I have understood from your presentation, they are going to depend mainly on clinical picture. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So they will depend on clinical signs and symptoms, and they will depend mainly on phone calls or during the 2-year period of follow-up, right?
Complete your question. So it's not only clinical pictures, my understanding, I think there is other outcome for the vaccine they are looking into, but at this phase, they are following by phone calls and the symptoms, the clinical pictures. But there is other outcomes measures that they are looking for the vaccine. For example, the results or the effect of the vaccine on people with morbidities, multiple clinical pictures, or multiple with chronic diseases, for example. So they have another parameters. I'm not sure in details about them, but there is other parameters than clinical pictures. If I understand your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Baba.
Okay, I do have a question. It is a quick hypothetical question for Khalid and Lubaba. If, let's say right now, hypothetically, the vaccine is ready, everyone can use it, will you use it and why? And if not, please let us know the reasons. Thank you.
Okay, Lubaba can answer first, and then I can answer.
That's a tricky question, but I'm a risk taker, so I'll use it. I'll try it myself and see. Be a good role model for my patients. So if something approved came out to be with good effectiveness and good data that support it, I will take it.
Well, currently with 40,000 people receiving the vaccine, I think that number is not enough. I'm not going to use it now. I think I'll wait another year. There might be some adverse outcomes that happens months from now. I'm not exactly sure about. But I will promote it to patients because it's safe.
Thank you both for your answers. If you allow me, I would like to share a conversation I had. Why I asked this question because I had a couple of conversations with some of my friends in Sudan and Saudi Arabia. And what happened is they told me, well, we won't take the vaccine. I was like, why? Well, we heard rumors. Rumors say that the vaccine is having something in it and which will impair us or impair our function or impair our reproductive functions. I think most of us have heard such a thing in the rumors or the internet somewhere around. But being physicians or doctors in this field, we shouldn't be believing such things or without facts. That's what I felt. But yeah, unfortunately, some of my friends are physicians. They have been, I don't know why, they're taking that opinions as their own. And they said, we are not going to use the vaccine unless after a year, until we have confirmed such things or not. Now, that's their opinion. I had that discussion, but I found that interesting to say. And hopefully we don't have that such a thought. But yeah, as Khalid said, there is some risk there. You want to wait for it until the data is there. That's also a great opinion. And as Lois said, she's a risk taker. And yeah, it's really tough at the moment, really. But there is no right answer at the moment. And hopefully we have the right answer very soon. Thank you both. Really appreciate your help and your
I
points.
also want to add that the drug will gain emergency authorization, which is not the normal process that FDA, by which FDA approves vaccines. So this adds also to the equation of whether people will welcome this vaccine or not. I think the clinical trials are moving very fast. Thousands of patients. I think not a year is long. I mean, a month or two from now, there will be sufficient people who received the vaccine. And if they did not develop adverse events, then I would reconsider.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mulham. It's really a good question, and I feel like it's a personal decision for everyone. But at the same time, I feel like we do have the tools and the knowledge to search as clinician and find out good evidence to support our opinion or not, whether we are taking the vaccine or not. So, for example, now we are taking the flu vaccine every season when we knew that it might cover some variants of the flu vaccine, but not all. I mean, of the influenza vaccines, but not all of them. So, but because we knew that this is the most likely going to happen this season, we're taking it. So, from that standpoint, I feel like if I have the evidence and the supporting data, I will go ahead for it. Thank you.
May I add something? Okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Azza.
Mulham, that is very interesting. And actually, I started in the past month, I started working as a medical assistant in a local clinic here, serving our local community. And actually, we are offering every patient coming to the clinic, we're offering a flu shot. And this is like the regular flu shot. And I find a lot of them, they having a big misconception and a big, like, this stuff can make me sick. This is stuff like very bad. This is stuff, a lot of them, like more than 60% of the patient having misconception about the flu vaccine, the regular flu vaccine. So let alone the COVID. So this is a big, let's say this is a big challenge for the COVID vaccine, like getting it into the public and getting to understand that it's safe. A lot of them, they are saying, don't give me the flu vaccine because you're going to trick me, and give me the COVID vaccine. And I have to explain that, no, this is not the COVID. This is a regular flu vaccine. Are you sure? Are you? I know that we can't force anybody to have a vaccine or not, but you can offer them and give them the right information. But I believe that a lot of the public here in the United States have misconception about the flu vaccine, the regular flu vaccine. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge about the COVID. Thank you, Mulham, for that.
Thank you, Azza, for the comment. Omnia? عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Azza, it's not only for the public. Now they brought the flu vaccine here in Qatar, Doha, and all of us healthcare professionals were not taking it because of the same issue. I'm afraid it might be the COVID vaccine.
The flu vaccine have been around like for a lot of, and it's like for the United States, it's like the winter season is like the regular thing to get. for them to have this misconception, I understand. It's understandable that everybody else can have like a lot of like fears or something from the vaccine itself. But take it. I have taken it. It's the flu vaccine.
No, it's the problem is all of us were uncertain. No, nobody knows what's happening. So far they kept sending emails and they're holding people from the lobby. This is a flu vaccine. Please come and take it. But everybody is refusing.
So this is my way of like convincing or like coming my like to take the vaccine my patients. I have been telling them that if it's the regular flu and you had the regular flu and you had the flu symptoms, you don't want to be like misinterpreting those symptoms for corona. You don't want like having a big you don't have to be like, do I have the corona? Do I have this is the flu or the corona? At least take the flu vaccine, be safe from the flu, and don't worry about that. And if it's corona or flu, that's have been like convincing some of them to take the vaccine.
That's great. Go ahead, Sumi.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Aja, bringing this topic. Actually, very interesting topic for me because I want to share my experience regarding this topic because I have been working for cancer patients last 3 years. So, you know, they are naturally, they are very high risk group because, you know, having cancer or like they're undergoing chemotherapy and radiation therapy, whatnot. But I mean, the misconception I used to think when, like, you know, back home when I was working or my internship, that people, you know, the underdeveloping country, the underserved people, probably, you know, they do not have much information about vaccine because let's say a parent come with like asthma patient, like asthma children, the children have asthma or diabetic, so they used to, their conception was that, you know, like if you give vaccine, it makes their immune system even weaker. So that's a very big misconception. When I came here, even like working with the cancer patient, they thought the same way. They think like, you know, vaccine, I would not say like it's like 100%, at least 50% of the patient, they think that vaccine, like after 65 in this country, even more than 60, some of them are like, you know, supposed to get flu for sure every year, and the pneumovax and herpes zoster, that Zostavax. These two vaccines are recommended for them because most of them are in high risk, or most, I mean, either them and of course geriatric population more than 65. But I would say like 40% of the people refuse it. And if you ask them why, their conception is like, you know, it will make them worse, their immune system. So same thing is, you know, like last week we are talking about it because when it comes to the cancer patient for COVID vaccine, so we are from the university, they are undergoing a survey for the patient that if the COVID vaccine is available in next 3 weeks, will you take it? We want to see like, you know, how much vaccine we need because all of them are, as I work for the cancer research, all of them are high risk. So, you know, it seems like 30%, 30% of the population wants to have it, regardless of their cancer stage. Even, you know, some of them are like a stage 4 cancer. So we even counsel that, you know, if you get COVID, I mean, you know, it's going to be very hard to, you know, like deal with it, but they are not convinced. So based on that, you know, I mean, for my public health work, I wrote a research proposal actually that how to improve that vaccine awareness to this, you know, especially these children, like, you know, because I think for children, parents are not aware of it. Like what's the, some of the population, you know, they don't know, they don't want to take it because same thing, misconception that it will make their immune system worse. And for even for the old age population, some of them have different kind of cultural belief that you know, like for vaccine, like they're very
I mean, if we talk about even vaccine, they become very agitated or like irritated. So, like we don't want to talk about it. So, but that should not be the case for COVID. So even like, it seems like, the old age populations, like geriatric populations affected and died more for COVID last, like 6 months, even in Detroit area. Especially African Americans who have multiple comorbidities. But when we put the survey for them, still they don't want to take it. Only 30% of the population wants to take it. So, this I think it needs awareness all over the world, regardless, under developing country or developing country. People still are not ready to accept a vaccine that it's completely cure or it is a preventative measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumi. That's great. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Aza and Mulham, for the interesting question. And to make things worse, the environment, the political environment in the past few weeks or months, when people are politicizing even the idea of COVID. Is it there? Is it a hoax? And do we need to use a mask? So if people voted for Trump, most of them, they don't use a mask. And if you're talking to them now about vaccine, I think most of them will also might not go ahead. So the buying or convincing people to take the vaccine, I think it will be the next challenge ahead. Thank you, everyone. Any other comments?
I want to add something, if I may.
Sure, yes.
Regarding the mRNA vaccines.
Mhm.
Well, I think this is going to be not just a success story for the COVID-19 vaccine, but having an mRNA-based vaccine will open doors to many potential treatments in the coming years. Especially, I just remembered I came across this because Sumi mentioned cancer patients. mRNA-based treatments for cancer patients in the coming years are going to revolutionize the treatment process. So it's not just a success story for COVID-19 vaccine, but developing this mRNA-based uh, cure is going to, maybe it's going to shape the medicine in general.
You're right. Thank you so much for sharing this also, Khalid. Any other questions to Khalid or Lubaba, or any other comments? Why don't we jump on to the next section? If anyone of you have any experience or tips or anything to share, anyone with interview or coming interview, past interviews. Go ahead, Omnia.
Okay, so I didn't have any interview yet. My first interview will be scheduled on December 9th. So I'm just struggling with what kind of questions we ask the program director. For example, I was planning to ask like about research opportunities, which I find most of the information about it was in the website. I have some experience regarding the point of care ultrasound utilization in medicine. So, but most of the programs I got interview from, they have it already. So I don't know. They said minimum of 2 questions. So So I just wanted to ask everybody else if they can help me in this. What kind of questions we can ask to the program director? Especially if it's like a panel interview and we have to interview with more than one person, this will be a problem. So like if there are two persons, I need four different questions.
Okay. First of all, congrats, Omnia, for the interview. And second of all, I'm looking at some questions here I prepared before. So the questions for program director should be very specific. It shouldn't be, as you said if the site said some points about research, you shouldn't go for that point directly because it will be a repetition. Your goal is to make some form of personalized points. So the name of the doctor, you make sure to search over the internet. Usually they have some data about the program director, where he graduated or where she graduated, and what are their interests. Sometimes it's exercise, sometimes it's volunteering, sometimes it's something else, teaching maybe. So you can formulate a question based on such a thing. And one example, I'll give you just one example. I knew that the program director for the second interview was someone who was highly involved in the community and volunteering. It's a big thing for him. Now, so I made a question which was, I'm interested in volunteering and I'm volunteering right now with the American Red Cross because I am. So that's one thing. Then I said, I want to know the volunteering opportunities that are available around the area and are available to the residents. So I made a question to formulate some form of a bond. Initially it started with a statement and then the actual question. This is just one way of forming a question which is personalized. So you can read more. By building more data about the program director, you're able to formulate a question. That's an example. A second example I would provide for you is, how many research projects the residents or the interns are involved with. So that's one thing. And if they're involved, for instance, some programs in their website, they won't mention the exact specifics in terms of what type of project, because there's QI, quality improvement, or it can be other forms of projects like case reports. You can be show your interest in that project. What are your research projects? Is it QI or something else, which shows that you're someone who knows the details about research, but don't go into depth if it is a community program. A third question, which works with program directors and APDs or state program directors, is how do you evaluate your residents? And I hope this provides you good examples, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Mulham. But I think all of the first three questions are legit. But for the last question, the one of how you evaluate the residents. So I think me myself now, I'm having training in a SCGME accredited program. This is the specific format. So coming from a training with a similar accreditation, I know how residents will be evaluated. This will be a minus against me if I asked about it.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably
for me this is not a good question, I believe, because I know how I have been evaluated same way for the last 4 years, so I cannot ask such a question. This is other problem for me. I have to be very careful about what I'm asking for.
Hello, Omnia. If I can add something.
Sure.
First, congratulations for the interviews. Wish you good luck. There is a PDF file. I will share it to the group, or I can add it to the app as well. There is a list of questions that's collected from the previous candidates and applicants all over the world. They divided the questions that you can ask to the resident and to the program director. You can use them and then formulate it regarding to the programs you are applying to or you are interviewing in. They divide the questions into teaching questions, education questions, volunteership questions, and last was about research questions. Maybe if you can read this file, you can have an idea of what to ask and how to ask. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Ru'a. This will be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add it after this session, inshallah.
Thank you, Omni, for the question, and thank you, Mulham and Ru'a, for for sharing. And any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Sumi.
Yeah, congratulations, Omnia. I know that you will do very good. Just stay yourself. That's the most important thing. And, just think like it's a regular stuff, because if you think too much, it will be very stressful. Anyway, regardless, it is stressful. It's very easy to say, but some stress is good, I guess. Then, we prepare ourselves better. I agree with Omnia. I may not ask the last question because I don't want to take any chance, as it is a program director. If I have 1% of like, oh no, I should not ask this question, I would not ask. However, what my suggestion would be, I asked last time, the program director, that as a candidate, how should I prepare myself from now to July if I would join as an intern. So he suggested me a very good, because I told him that I'm a little bit away from my clinicals, right? Because I'm involved. I was involved in research, and I passed step 3 recently. That does not mean that I'm a practicing physician. That may be not the case for you. You are probably involved in patient care in Qatar. I'm not sure. I'm guessing. But I'm in US, I'm not, I did some observership and all that, but I'm not a regular, what I mean is I'm not a practicing physician, or I'm not taking care of patient on a regular basis. So, so I asked him how should I prepare myself? So he gave me very good advice. He said, this is a book that was Davidson, I guess, because it was internal medicine interview. And, whenever, because I'm done with the step 3, he suggests me, if you are not done your step 3, I would suggest you done a step 3 before residency. As you are done, so I would suggest you, there are some community clinic here, which you can serve as a volunteer, with the faculty. You are involved already a university research program. So it is, you have all the training already done, like some HIPAA training, something they need, some paperwork. So, see them, there should be some student clinic involved with those things. And at the same time, read Davidson, so which will help you in internal medicine knowledge, practice internal medicine knowledge. And he also told me to read something for the board exam, so which will that will boost my knowledge and help me move forward. This is one question probably you may ask. And other question I would suggest, every program director have their, even assistant program director, their interest, their, in their website, they have their personal things, interest. So which you can, what you can do, if you have done any research previously, so you may ask, is there any opportunity for research here, let's say quality improvement project. So, you may say that I have done this quality improvement project previously. So, I want to explore that. I want to know that is there any more opportunity if I join here? So, or what kind of, quality improvement project have done by the residents previously. So, this kind of question, I think, more appropriate than, how would you grade myself? I feel like this is a little bit risky question. So that's my suggestion, just read about a program director, and even what's his research interest, and connect with your research interest, or what, if anything, you, did previously, or you are currently doing something, just connect with that and then modulate a question. Or even you can ask, with your other friends who have interviewed previously with the same program or same program director. You might get some friends, right, who had interview, or a resident even, what's his favorite thing, or is he interested in more research or more volunteer, or a resident wellness, what's his interest. You may, if you have any connection from the program, that would be another things you may consider. Thank you. Hope it's helpful.
Thank you, Somi. Yeah, go ahead, Omnia. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. Thank you so much.
So, Lubaba, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
So I just quick quick addition. Those all of them are variable questions. But I usually think when I'm preparing to ask the program director, I will see like most of these questions can be answered by any other assistant director. So I feel like more targeted to his role of the in the program. So for example, his future vision for the whole program, areas that need to improve, what he feel like is the program in 5 years. The same way they're asking us, what is your goal in 5 years, and what do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? So what is his future vision for the program in 5 years? What area that he feel like the program need to improve? So some questions directed more to his role rather than what I'm going to gain from your program. This is my view, just in addition to the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Lubaba. That's great. Thank you, Sumi, and everyone. Also, you can add some other aspects. Let's say now it's COVID time. So if you have any question about how the program dealing with COVID, how is the resident dealing with COVID, what things they change or plan to change, telemedicine, for instance, how are they using that? What the plan for the future for the role of telemedicine. Other aspect you might have it in the book that Roa might share with you, such as what do you do with resident burnout or something like that? What's the plan? Especially nowadays with COVID deaths and the next wave, most likely there will be a lot of worries or a lot of how can they deal with the stress? Do they have a program for that supporting wellness? And the third thing, if they have any plans for helping resident to pass the board, what kind of how is the passing percentage for the residents in the past, and what plans to improve if it's not there, if there is a plan to improve, for instance. So there are different aspects that you can tailor to your need and to the specific program that you are interested in and the program director. Thank you. Azza, go ahead.
Congratulations for your interview, and I'm sure that you will do great in the interview. And just one last piece of information and one last piece of advice. Everybody's advice was great. Lubaba's question was also interesting and great. Just use your own experience since you already enrolled in a SMG accredited residency program. Use your own experience, and I'm sure that you have a lot of aspects to think of. We might be not in your place to know it, but make it more special for you when you ask the program director. And plus use the information that they give you during the interview. I'm sure they will have a conversation with you and they will let you some of the information, use it and try to like rephrase it and ask about it. That will make a great point for you to make it more interacting rather than just interviewing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Azza. That was so helpful. Thank you.
Also, I have one thing to add, Omnia. When you start asking the question whether to the program, especially the program director, try as much as you can. Don't ask too much. Like, don't ask more than 2 questions, because they are interviewing like a lot of candidates and they may get bored when they ask him like 3 questions. This is one thing. The other thing, you can start by thanking him for the opportunity, and you tell him like you want to prepare him for your questions. Like, I have 2 questions. First is kida kida kida. Second question is, and then you thank him again. Just try not to ask more than 2 questions. This is a lot of people advise me. Okay.
That's great, Roa, and thank you. And putting the question also in a good format to give them information about you before you go to the question, that also might be a helpful hint. It's way of telling them that you know something and you want to know more. Also might be helpful, but good luck.
Also, Omnia, for example, if they didn't ask you about, for example, you have a teaching experience or a research experience, and during the interview you didn't have the chance to like talk about it or sell yourself in a good way by using this kind of experience. When you formulate a question to the program director, for example, you are going to ask him something about research and you didn't get the opportunity to talk about your research experience during the interview, as Dr. Nadir mentioned, you can put this in the formulate of the question. For example, I had an experience in research. I have been doing this and this for the past 2 years. I wanted to know like the program's opportunities for research. You know what I mean? I just try to, if they didn't ask you about an important experience, whether teaching, research, volunteership, you can put it in the start of the question.
Okay, this is a good point. I will definitely do that. Thank you, Roa.
Thank you. Wish you good luck.
So I will advise you, when you get the book from Roa, get a couple of questions and try to practice them, and try to add some aspect of your own background, as Roa mentioned. So it's gonna be easier for you, spontaneous, when you are asking the question. Practice more, make things better. So good luck. Any other questions or comments? Thank you everyone for sharing.
I just would like to add one thing. First, congratulations, Omnia, and best of luck with the interviews. One thing is like, if you feel like you don't have as many questions, for example, if you have just one question and it's like, I don't see the need to force yourself to put another one. You can just simply say that I had many questions, but most of the, thank you very much for the introductory session, or during the residence happy hour, whatever, most of my questions were answered. And I found really helpful information on your website. So like, yes, it's good to have questions, but just like, in case that happened, you felt like I only have one, don't stress yourself, because this is gonna show up on your facial expression or something. Just keep it simple. Okay, everything that I was wondering about, or I wasn't sure about, was answered already. I just have this one question, and I think there is no problem with that. Another thing that you can ask about is like, if they have a mentorship program, like specific details about it. I'm not sure. Most of websites, they might mention that, but not in specific details. If this is something not mentioned, and you are like really want to know more about, you can ask them.
Okay, thank you so much, Marwa. That was a good point. All of
You're
you guys
very
have been
welcome.
very helpful. Just wish me luck about the interview. I'm very, very anxious.
I
Just
think your
remember,
counterspell will do, inshallah.
inshallah, best of luck. Just remember, you are selling yourself. You are in a way, you are selling yourself the same way they are selling their program to you. So they want to keep you. You have a very good qualifications for them to consider. So think of yourself as a unique individual that will add to their programs. And if you come across with this mentality that you are going to offer them something new for them, they will definitely think about you positively. So don't be anxious as far as they will accept me or not accept me. Just offer yourself as if you are going to get them higher stuff by joining their program with all the experience that you have or the skills that you have or whatever in your past that you gained. So it's easy for me to say, I know, but try to pretend that you are the one who is offering, not they are offering you the position. You are offering yourself to them. You have other options. You can go to other places, but you chose them, and you are going to offer something useful or something better for them if they choose you. Thank you. Any other addition or questions or comments for Omnia or any other experiences or tips?
Yeah, good luck, Omni, inshallah, بالتوفيق. And just like Dr. Nader said, just tell yourself and just know that your strength. And I believe that they already liked you on paper. They just want to look at you in person and like you in person as well. And I'm sure they will. So بالتوفيق, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Yaza. Thank you so much.
Good luck. So if there is no other questions or comments, why don't we plan for next week? Do you have any suggestions, or let me update you about the projects so far? For the Sparrow data, I did not get notification or updates. Sumi, did you get any?
Sorry, I was mute.
No.
No, unfortunately, I did log in yesterday, but there is no update for the data. But if I had something, I'll share with you and as well as the WhatsApp group.
Sure. So I will try next week, hopefully, to contact the IT team. Maybe they need a push or so to get things going. I understand it's COVID time, so they might be busy with some other aspects of technical issues with their software or hospital system. So let's push for the data. As far as the nursing home data, I got some for the depression in the falls, but I did not get all the data in the format that I was thinking I'm gonna get it. So maybe they did not understand what I was asking. I can share you the data I have to look at what is there. And then when we get the whole data set, then we can think about how we can analyze the data and then take it for the next step. Any questions, Lubaba?
No, that's great news. So for the depression, I think I came across a couple of topics regarding same mental health in elderly with COVID, and so I will share with the group.
That's great. So any suggestion for next week? Any thing in particular that you need, Marwa? Please.
Given that we were waiting for the data, is there anything that we can do meanwhile? I mean, in the form of like about the analysis and maybe the literature, do you recommend a specific that we can start working on regarding like for me, I don't have much experience with regard to research. Is there anything that like I can start on right now that can be helpful in the first like few coming weeks?
Great question. Thank you, Marwa. So I think if we can divide ourselves to some groups somewhere, if you can work, each one of you or a couple as a team, to work on making the posters ready, without the conclusion part, without the table or graph part, just the introduction, some like a skeleton bone. So if you are not familiar with PowerPoint, you'll have the chance to work on that. So similar to the students, the medical student presentation, that might be part that you can work on. Getting more literature review for the discussion part. You want to put some background in your discussion. This the thing that I'm thinking about. For the long run, I think we can think about how we formulate the same proposal as a manuscript. So if you're thinking about publishing it to a journal, think of what kind of journal we want to send it to, and what kind of format that journal needs. Like each journal, they have their own author guidelines. You can look at this and see if we want to write an a manuscript for a journal, what the steps involved in that. So this might be helpful as far as for the long run. This is what I'm thinking.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll start on that. Thanks.
I'm also trying to get to the data analysis software, the SPSS. So if you have time to look at some of the videos on the app, or you can search YouTube about SPSS. If you don't have the basics knowledge of how you get the data, how you analyze the data, how you graph the data, that might also, if you have time, you might be able to teach yourself about these things. Hopefully, we can get some of the students and the statistic or some to help with analyzing the data in the future when we get it. So by having some at least background, it will be easier to discuss with the students or to follow what they are doing if they are doing something with the data. Anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, I think while receiving the data, like while waiting for the data, we can start working on the poster. I mean, like probably 2 of us or 3 of us, because we have literally like more than 5 probably. 2 to 4, yeah, like including the case report, it will be 5. So we can split like 3 of us. And out of 3 of us, we can split like who will work for the introduction, who will work for the background, something like that. Like it will be easier for us by that way to search the literature and all that. Same way, like we can make a Google documents, and we can see each other's improvements, or like like how we are working. And we can decide like where we are going to submit our like what journal we are targeting for submitting. Let's say like probably American Geriatric Association or whatever. So we can just look what are their criteria, what criteria they use for citation. Let's say some of them cite like APA format, some of them AMA format. So we can cite right now from our references based on that way. So it will be like a little bit easier when we write the real like journal, like paper. manuscript I am referring to. So I think that's a good idea. Five posters, so we can split to 3 people, and first we can start with the poster, and then by the time when the data is available, we just put the results and whatever it is, and then the same people will work for the manuscript, so it will be easier. So by that way, we are done with our homeworks. I mean, if everybody agrees, that's an idea.
I think it's a great idea that if we divide into small groups, I think the work will be done and each one will have some part and some way they will learn about their part. So it's an experience for you guys, and I want you to get out of it with some, as far as you can, get some skills and tools that you know how to use. So I think in your WhatsApp group, why don't you put the 5 abstract, and each one they can sign up to one, and then see if we can get 3 people into one each of the 5 abstract, and then in the group of the 3 you can share or identify each one which part they can work on, and then you can build up the Word document on Google document, and then you can add things together in the coming days, weeks.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Then I want to ask you also a different question. I assigned each one of you a topic from the geriatric syllabus, which is like the topics mainly discussed in a clinical geriatric fellowship. So each one of you will have a topic. I want you to read about the topic. The slide will be provided to you. It's like a PowerPoint slides. You don't have to dig deep, spend a lot, but if you can understand the slides, the basic of the geriatric medicine in that part, I want you to practice doing a presentation, a 5 minutes, kind of 5 to 10 minutes video, and you save it in your YouTube or your phone or computer. And then you want to edit that by yourself. You want to criticize yourself, and come up with another version, a better version, until you think it's the best one. And I want you to share the best video that you can get from that slide or that PowerPoint slide about the topic, so that we can share it with the group. So you're going to teach, each one of you is going to teach us about the topic that he or she assigned. You will understand something about geriatric, and by the same time, you will practice about how you present. You will try to improve, you will get some skills. I'm thinking I'll give you a month to do that. So by Christmas time, if you can finish that, that would be great. If you have questions, send me an email and I will walk you through that. It's in the app. If you open the app, it's the last tab. You will find yourself listed, and the file will be available to you. Download that file and then work on it. And then if you have technical issue also, let me know. Does it make sense for you guys?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, thank you guys. So any suggestion for next Saturday?
I have a suggestion just in general.
Sure.
Doesn't need to be next Saturday. So for the people that are having their interviews in the upcoming weeks, I suggest that we do like maybe about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, a panel interview for the person that's going into interview. For example, Omnia and Dua, we know that you are in the upcoming weeks, you have your first interview. So we will be the panel that we will interview you, and then we will hear your feedback and then your answers, and we give you feedbacks in all terms of how you answered, and maybe that would be helpful and relieve some of the stress and the nervousness that you are going through. What do you think?
It's a great idea, Lubaba. Thank you so much. I love it.
You're welcome.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Lubaba.
Mm-hmm.
So Omni has a, and then who has? I think Ryan said she has a coming interview. Anyone else? Marwa? No.
Yeah. Also, I have one
Mulham.
next week.
Mulham. Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Okay. So at least congratulations, everyone. So at least we'll hear from
Thank
four.
you. Thank you very much, Lubaba, actually, for the idea. Like, this is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, help us prepare too. So
Yeah, definitely.
hoping that we are getting something and might not have the time. So we will from your way of responding to questions, and the same way you will benefit from our feedback. Okay.
Sounds good. Excellent, excellent suggestion. Thank you, Lubaba. Thanks, everyone. Any other comments, questions, or any suggestions?
Dr. Nadir, I have a suggestion, maybe if not for the next week, the week after it. If you remember the presentation we did early on COVID, we discussed it like in terms of, we divided ourselves into teams and then allocate the task to each team. I'm wondering if we could do the same thing, but with regard to the COVID-19 in children. So maybe in the coming weeks, we can do the same.
Sounds good. If everyone agrees, we can do the same. I think the group or the teams are there. So if you want to switch the task, that's fine. If you want to keep the same group as far as background and incidents and so forth, you can do that.
Yes, it's a good idea. I agree. We can incorporate the updates. So every week there is new information regarding all of the categories. So that's a good idea.
It's because I noticed that the second wave, the children are really affected, not like the first time, especially here in Sudan.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if there is change in the incidents or presentations.
That's a good.
Why don't we plan that for the, not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after that?
Okay.
Anyone else or with suggestions or comments?
I was wondering that can we do something like, it's not like as that's the interview season and all that. After January or February probably will be done with the interviews and that part. So after that, like can you go by system wise, let's say cardiovascular, respiratory, and like common I would suggest like a common case presentation and learn from it. Let's say like how to manage like hypertension, diabetes, those are like bread and butter presentation for any internal medicine, or like even like people going to family medicine or whatever not. So like probably each group can present each system like cardio, respiratory, and all that. So, and like we can share our knowledge, the most updated research, what it says about what, like something like that, and we can learn a little bit like about the whole system, like probably first half an hour of the discussion, and then we can move forward to something. I mean, if everybody agrees.
I think that's also a good idea. So in the future, maybe we can divide the session into the first part clinical, second part research kind of aspect of the discussion and presentation. So it will give you an opportunity to study, read, and present and discuss and
Exactly, like
teach one another.
Yeah. The whole idea is like, so we are involved in clinical and like, of course, from February to July, whoever will join residency or not, or whatever, like still we will be touching the clinical study and all that. And like, as you are, of course, a practicing physician, so you can add something also for us that we can do. So we'll be better prepared for residency in terms of clinically. So that's
Sure. Definitely, it's a good idea. Ra, you want to add something?
No,
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay, I think all these are good suggestions, good ideas. Any other comments or question or addition questions before we, I think it's closer to 1 here. So I think we can finish this meeting, but if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss or shoot me an email, or you can use the app to add your ideas also. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to those who have some interview. And I wish you all the best, everyone. Good luck. Thank you. Have a great day.
I think the next meeting will be the same time, like 11 o'clock from next Saturday onwards.
Is this a good time for you all, or someone or some people not in agreement with 11? If it's 11 o'clock for you guys, I'm happy to start at 11.
It's good for me, so I think it's reasonable, no problem. But everyone can, if anyone has some limitations or any problems, I think they can start.
How are you, Sumi? Yeah, go ahead, Lubaba.
For me also, Omnia,
Omnia.
Time is good with me. No worries.
Good. Okay.
It's good for me too. Let's see the others.
Yeah,
So,
it's okay with me. No problem.
So if there is one in the group or couple, they don't, let's ask them, see what the availability for them. If everyone in agreement, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. See you then next week at 11.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone, and best of luck.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.